Hello students! In our previous video, we introduced you to quadratic equations. We also learned how to form quadratic equations from word problems. Well, in our today's video, we will learn about one very common method used to find solutions of quadratic equations. Recall that you have already studied in polynomials that solution to polynomials are nothing else but those values of variables which reduce the value of polynomial to 0. For example, consider a given polynomial px equal to x minus 3. In this polynomial, if you substitute x equal to 3, you'll get p of x equal to 0. That is, polynomial reduces to 0. So we can say that this value of x equal to 3 is 0 for this polynomial. Well, this is true for quadratic polynomials as well. But since the degree of quadratic polynomial is 2, there will be 2 zeros for a given polynomial. Say for example, we have a quadratic polynomial 2x squared plus x minus 300. Now here, you can see the degree of polynomial is 2. So there will be 2 zeros. Well, recall that our previous example was a linear polynomial. Yes, x minus 3 is a linear polynomial. So it had only 1 zero. This is quadratic polynomial, so it will have 2 zeros. We symbolize these zeros as alpha and beta. Now if you solve this polynomial 2x squared plus x minus 300, you'll find that one zero for this polynomial is 12 and the other is minus 25 by 2. That is, these are values of x which, when you'll put these values in polynomial bag, the polynomial will reduce to 0. So you can say that alpha and beta, that is, zeros of this polynomial are 12 and minus 25 by 2 respectively. Now suppose if we equate this quadratic polynomial to 0, what do we get? Yes, correct. We get a quadratic equation. I mean, this quadratic polynomial will change to quadratic equation. You can see this equal to sign in between. Now when you will solve this quadratic equation, you will get those two same values of x, that is 12 and minus 25 by 2. But now, since there is an equation here, we call them as roots of quadratic equation. Note that in both the cases, values of x are same, only their names are different. That is, in case of polynomial, these are called as zeros of polynomial, and in the case of equation, these are called as roots of equation. In general, any real numbers alpha and beta are called root of the quadratic equation if they satisfy the equation. We also say that x, that is values of variable, is equal to alpha, that is roots of the quadratic equation, only when alpha satisfies the quadratic equation. So I mean is, when I put values of alpha in the equation on left hand side, on solving it, I will get 0, which is equal to right hand side. So in this video, let us learn how to find roots of quadratic equation by factorization method. Now students, you have already seen this factorization method in your previous standards as well. Can you recall learning about a method called splitting the middle term to factorize the polynomial? Yes, exactly. Splitting the middle term method is called as factorization method for quadratic equation. As I told you, polynomial has zeros, so you must have used to find the zeros of the polynomial in your previous standard. Now you will use the same method to find roots of quadratic equation. Thus we shall use this knowledge for finding the roots of quadratic equation, and let's see how. Can you see the expression on your screen? Yes, it is a quadratic polynomial 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. find out its 0 using splitting the middle term method. Now students, before starting, always check that whether the given expression is in its standard form or not. If it is not, then first write in the standard form and then proceed with the method. Now since we want to find zeros of this expression, that is quadratic polynomial, we will equate it to 0. Now you can see that we have converted this quadratic polynomial to quadratic equation, which is 2x square minus 5x plus 3 equals to 0. So here the middle term is minus 5x. Now we have to split this middle term here. Note that splitting of middle term should be such that sum or difference of two newly split terms should be always be equal to given middle term, and their product should be equal to the product of first and last term. Okay, so we'll call here the two splits as split 1 and split 2. Now according to this rule, let us first split the middle term minus 5x like this. You can see here that split 1 is minus 2x and split 2 is minus 3x. So now we have our two splits. Let us write them in our equation instead of minus 5x. And doing that we get 2x square minus 2x minus 3x plus 3 is equal to 0. Now you can observe here that if you take the sum of these two splits, it is equal to minus 5x, which is our middle term. And if you take the product of these two splits, you'll get 6x square, which is the product of first and last term. Now make pairs of first two terms and last two terms and take common from them. Taking 2x common from first two terms and minus 3 common from last two terms, we get 2x into bracket x minus 1 minus 3 into bracket x minus 1 equal to 0. And therefore, x minus 1 multiplied by 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. Now to find zeros here, we equate individual bracket to 0. And doing that, we see that value of variable in first case is x equal to 1 and in the second case is x equal to 3 by 2. Now here we shifted 3 to the other side, which is why it has become plus, and took 2 which is in multiplication with the x on the other side and it became the denominator. That is, it is now in division. Now students, you can verify this answer by putting this x equal to 1 and 3 by 2 individually in the equation back. And you will see that both the times RHS becomes equal to LHS. That is, value of this polynomial expression becomes 0. Now students, note one more thing here. Observe that these two expressions so obtained are linear expressions. That is, the degree is 1. Yes, see the degree on x, it is 1. And thus they are called as linear factors of given quadratic polynomial or quadratic equation. Again, you can verify this by multiplying them back to get same expression. You can see on your screen that when you multiply x minus 1 and 2x minus 3, you will get the expression back, which is obvious. When you multiply the factors, you will get its multiple. Thus, we call this method as splitting the middle term for quadratic equations, as we are splitting the middle term into two new splits. Again, remember, we also call this as factorization method in case of quadratic equation, as what we are getting at the end is two linear factors of given quadratic equation. Thus, we have found that roots of 2x square minus 5x plus 3 equal to 0. The quadratic equation, by factoring it into two linear factors and equating each factor to 0, comes out to be x equal to 1 and x equal to minus 3 by 2, which is alpha and beta respectively. We'll see some more examples to understand this method better in our coming videos.